The myth of being apolitical. Imagine someone says, I don't care about politics, and then on the same day they go on to complain about traffic, taxes, pollution, college admissions, jobs, electricity. The irony? All the complaints they made was political. Some people proudly call themselves apolitical, as if being able to make enough money to afford good private education for their children, being able to afford good private health care for their family, or being able to afford 2 Europe trips in a year exempts them from the bad decisions made by the government. The modern capitalist system presents an illusion of open and free market, the illusion that you can make as much money as you want as per the efforts that you put in, and in turn gain this same level of resources. But there are a few things that you cannot control with how much money you make. At the end, we all are living on the same planet. Many of us breathe polluted, toxic air. Many rivers are polluted. And environmental degradation eventually affects everybody. All this cannot be solved with your money. Unless you are among the few billionaires that are planning to hop to Mars once we become capable to sustain civilization on that planet. So, when politics decides your fate and future, it becomes really important to question whether being apolitical is even possible or not. When one says that she or he is apolitical, they are trying to convey that they are not interested in the political landscape. Before we dive into the apolitical nature of things, we really need to answer what politics is. Politics is the process of answering questions like who should have power? How should resources be distributed? What rights should people have? What should the government do and what it should stay away from? Actually, all these questions remind me of a quote from the feminist movement that personal is political. At first, it sounds strange until you realize that your education, your salary, your safety, your healthcare, even your freedom, it is all decided by political decisions, man. People think politics just means elections, where political parties organize big rallies, or sometimes political leaders do door-to-door election campaigns where they come and knock at your doors and ask for your vote, in turn agreeing to everything that you say to them at that point of time. But no, elections are just a mechanism. Politics is the operating system of our society. While I was thinking all these matters, I got curious and tried to find why politics might have emerged. What do you think? How politics might have emerged? Well, one interesting point of view that I came across while trying to find the answer to this question was through the lens of human advancement. For most of our history, we lived in small tribes where almost everyone knew each other. Thus, our available resources could be shared among each other based on our interpersonal relationships. But over time, these tribes grew from few hundred individuals living together to thousands, then to millions, and now to billions of individuals living together in this interconnected globalized world. But when billions of people live together, it's not possible for everyone to know each other. Thus, there are no interpersonal relationships on which our resources could be shared. Thus, when strangers started living together, somebody had to decide who owns land, who protects the society, who resolves disputes, who builds roads, who educates our children. Politics wasn't invented because we humans loved conflict. In fact, it was developed because civilization demanded coordination. When politics has emerged to answer all these big questions of sustaining a civilization, it makes me really wonder how can people call themselves apolitical? Imagine saying I don't care about politics. Okay, but do you care about inflation? Do you care about job opportunities, healthcare, public transport, clean air, AI regulation, internet censorship? Because my man, every one of these issues are political. Thus, the phrase I'm apolitical is less of a political position and more of a reluctance from participation into politics. In fact, most of the time when people say, hey, I am apolitical, what they are trying to say is that, hey, see, I am too busy trying to earn a meal in this exploitative system that has been created by the political system of my country. That is why I don't have enough time to think about where I am stuck in my life or in which direction this whole society is headed. Fair enough. Another thing that really hurts me is borrowed political ideologies. On most of the day-to-day societal issues like scams, scandal, or corruption cases, people tend to stay quiet, believing that they are apolitical. Thus, their conscience, which can be represented by a whiteboard, has nothing written on it about politics. But when it's time to vote, they simply borrow the political opinions of their friends, families, or maybe their favorite social influencer. Thus, the blank whiteboard of their conscience is an easy place to copy and paste others' political opinions. Most people think they're political neutral. They are not. They have simply outsourced their thinking. Their politics comes pre-installed from their parents, families, religion, school, caste, and for the fun part, in present day from Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, somewhere along the way in life, they inherit political opinions that they never examined. Now it's time to talk about my nation, India, one of the world's largest democracy. A nation that has managed to survive through different kind of rough phases, from partition, wars, emergency, to present day religious polarization and hypernationalism. I think my nation has survived all of this. When my friends call themselves apolitical, it really makes me wonder. Brother, you are the one who keeps complaining about poor roads while driving your bike. You are the one who keep complaining and cursing the government for your sore throat during winters when the whole Delhi is covered by pollution. Also, you are the one who complains about irregular train timings and poor public infrastructure. So, when you say you are apolitical, it really does not make sense. Let's take example of education in India to better understand this whole thing. Today in India we have both private and government schools. School as a place forms the foundation of your being. During the initial school years, an immature human being is shaped into the person that he or she will go on to become in future. If you're rich, you can pay for a private school for your children, thus giving them an upper hand over others. The richer you are, the better schools you can afford. Thus, even in private school, there's a whole spectrum of hierarchy that exists. A person going to government school with some obvious world-class infrastructure and teaching will find it hell to cope up with that initial gap that has been created, all just because he was not born into a rich family. Shouldn't education be same for all? Shouldn't education be free for all? Shouldn't education be of good quality, free of cost, accessible to all the children of your nation? I pity my people, really. Somewhere down the line, it has really slipped through our conscience that government is the entity that is responsible for providing free, quality education to our children, to us. When politics decides your future, it becomes really important to decide your politics. Don't you think so? Well, I also get why people choose to be apolitical. The political landscape is filled with torture, mental harassment, blood, violence, all kind of twisted things. So it's better to be apolitical than to be actively expressive about your political opinions. When politics reaches with a gun in its hand knocking at your door just cause you hurt someone else's political sentiment with just a few words, then it becomes really obvious that if you become apolitical. Also, being apolitical makes life really peaceful, I guess. But think about it. In the long run, is it even good for our civilization? Politics feels dirty, people shout, families split apart, people are harassed online. Sometimes journalists are attacked, sometimes activists are threatened. So, ordinary decent people conclude that politics is not for me, which is now understandable. I still remember something my class teacher once told us. She said that maybe partially it's our fault that our nation ends up with corrupt and incompetent leaders. Because the educated, morally upright people decide that politics is beneath them. They become doctors, engineers, entrepreneurs, lawyers, and they leave politics to whoever is willing to enter it. And then years later, we go on to complain about the quality of our leaders. People who do not really represent the highest values that we want to uphold. We need to understand that a democracy automatically or magically does not create good leaders. It produces leaders that citizens are willing to create, support, and elect. I'm not saying that everyone watching this has to become a politician, but some has to. When every thoughtful person decides to be apolitical, then we should really not be surprised when politics is left in the hands of those who never prioritize to serve their country in the first place. And the opposite of bad politics is not no politics. It's better politics. And better politics only starts when common citizens understand that it's too important to understand our society, rather to outsource the whole thinking.